Physical silver can be held in your IRA for protection and growth.
The biggest mistake.
Instantly request quotes from multiple pros at the same time. And browse special deals on all kinds of home projects. At Angie's List, it's free to find all the pros you need to know. From landscapers to roofers and everything in between. Go to angieslist.com today.
I would come into work as early as 3 and 4 in the morning to avoid people. When you've got 10 to 12 teeth missing, you can't hide that.
Having to talk in front of groups, he was very shy because he didn't like to, show his teeth or smile.
For years, I would dream of a place where I could go and one day come out and have all my teeth.
That could be your choice. Our responsibility is to educate you and facilitate so you are very comfortable with the decision you're making.
Doing dentures just wouldn't work for me. It was a very collaborative and team approach. They've got a lab there, everything gets done in the lab. Clear choice, put together a personalized plan, and I've got the best smile I could ever ask for in one day. It is 100% transformation.
And Doug.
Look, Limu, a civilian buying a new car. Let's go. Limu's right. Liberty Mutual could save you money by customizing your car insurance, so you only pay for what you need.
Oh, yeah, I've been a customer for years.
Huh. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
What is love? 2 hearts, 1 soul, a kiss, a hug, a laugh. It's passion. It's freedom. It's mystery. It's the journey and the destination. It's vows made and promises kept. It's a feeling, a need, no rules. All included, all unlimited. Feed your hunger, quench your thirst, live your dreams. Fulfilled, indulged, reborn. What is love? Love is all you need. Call 1-800-SANDALS.
Senate Republicans are considering taking a legislative action to block President Trump from slapping tariffs on Mexican goods unless it does more to stem the surge of migrants. The president saying this morning they had better think twice about that.
I don't think they will do that. I think if they do, it's foolish. There's nothing more important than borders. I think it's more likely that the tariffs go on, and we'll probably be talking during the time that the tariffs are on and they're going to be paid. And if they don't step up and give us security for our nation, look, millions of people are flowing through Mexico. That's unacceptable.
Republican Senator Rick Scott of Florida is a member of the Homeland Security Committee. And, sir, I know that the Republican members of the Senate agree with the president on getting something done at the border, but there's disagreements over this particular issue on tariffs. If you could listen to your colleague, Senator Grassley, and then I'll get your comment after that.
I think is not a setback from the standpoint of how hard I'm going to work to get USMCA passed so the president can have a big victory. I've discussed it in several ways, not with the White House, but there's some disagreement even among Republicans whether a resolution of disapproval would be appropriate.
So, Senator, Congress does have a role to play here, but how will they play its hand?
Well, Dana, here's a frustrating thing. The Democrats won't secure the border. We've got a crisis. Over 100,000 people were apprehended last month. And the president's doing his best to try to figure out how to secure the border. And this is a path that he can go down. None of us like tariffs, but we've got to get Mexico to be a better partner than they are. Now, any tariff dollars we collect, we ought to reduce it in taxes, get it back to, American consumers. But the president's in a tough position. He knows there's a crisis. The Democrats are just sitting on the sideline. This place up here, I've been up here 5 months, is dysfunctional.
I was going to ask you about that. I mean, you've been there since a little after January 1st, and it must be frustrating to you coming from being a governor and now being here and feeling stymied, not being able to actually do anything.
Well, Dan, here's what doesn't make sense. The Democrats will go out there and say, oh, we care about that. All right, and whether it's a disaster bill that takes 7 months.
Their decision about this question of whether a census citizenship question will be added. One of your former Florida Congresswoman, Ross Leighton wrote about this, and she said the state of Florida stands to lose out on millions of dollars in federal funding and as many as 2 additional congressional seats if the census question on citizenship moves forward and depresses response rates. Even an additional 1% undercount of Florida's population could greatly jeopardize the purse strings and power of the nation's 3rd most populous state. What do you think about the chances here? What could happen?
Well, first off, we have over 400,000 people move into our state a year because we've got lower taxes, less regulation. We're adding over 200,000 jobs a year. That's why people are moving. And it happened over my 8 years as governor. Now,
right.
Do we need to ask people if you're a citizen? Absolutely. I mean, that's how we ought to be out, deciding how many additional congressmen and women that Florida gets. It ought to be based on citizenship. So, I mean, I understand the issue, would we lose out some federal funding? But the truth is, what we really need to think about is we should allocate the dollars based on citizenship. We should allocate congressmen and women based on citizenship. So it ought to be on the ballot. It ought to be on the...
and just take those results, whatever they are. Let me ask you also this. The president today, not his administration, announcing that they are going to restrict travel from the United States to Cuba. I think that right now there were 142,721 that went by cruise, 114,000 by plane, but the Trump administration deciding to crack down on this kind of travel for education in particular. I wonder what you think about that.
They're doing the right thing. I applaud them for what they're doing. We should not spend a dime helping the Castro regime continue to prosper, because they're the ones that are supporting the Maduro regime in Venezuela that are absolutely starving little children to death. The Maduro is 100% being supported by the Castro regime, and so we should be doing everything we can to stop Cuba from doing this. This was just pure Obama's appeasement, which didn't do anything to stop the Castro regime from doing bad things in Cuba and in Venezuela.
And if I could just add one last thing, you mentioned the disaster aid bill. I know that you've been working on that since you got there. There's a lot of communities that have needed to see this money. The president obviously going to sign this bill and get this money pumping. But are you worried that hurricane season is upon us? We haven't finished with these floodings, the historic flooding in the Midwest, and that you'll end up having to do another disaster funding bill within the next few months?
I'm a business guy. What would you do in business? You'd say, if I have a problem, why don't I fix it so I don't have the problem next time? We ought to go back and look at all of our disaster bills over the last 20 years and say, let's deal with this one time instead of having to do it through a political process when you have people like Chuck Schumer that blocks it. Well, you go look at every one. What have we funded in the past, and say, let's go ahead and make sure this gets funded in a normal process, so FEMA has the money up front, or in the case of the military, they know that their military bases are going to get rebuilt like Tyndall,
right,
and they don't have to worry about
some. So people don't worry for several months and possibly lose their businesses. Agree. All right, Senator Rick Scott of Florida, thank you.
Thanks, Dana. Have a good day.
Thank you. House Democrats meeting today to discuss next week's vote on holding Attorney General William Barr and former White House counsel Don McGahn in contempt of Congress after both failed to comply with congressional subpoenas. Mike Emanuel is live on Capitol Hill. So, Mike, what is the fallout here, and are there more subpoenas to come?
Well, Dana, great question. Some critics suggest this is an attempt by House Democrats to keep the special counsel Robert Mueller probe alive. House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer says he's not satisfied by the response of Attorney General